This is a big record, Wish. And
Yeah.
this is this is one of those we never thought this would happen.
Yeah.
It's in that category, but he's done it now. And no one will ever be able to take that away from him. And this is going to be something we probably will not see again in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, like when a record like this falls, there's usually fundamental underlying changes to the sport. I mean, you think about when home run records fell in baseball. Well, we kind of know why that happened now. It was medicinal. Other sports it's because of changes in format, changes in season. If you thought about somebody breaking Wayne Gretzky's goals record, I mean, by this time they'd be playing 4-on-4, right? I mean, that's the kind of fundamental change you'd expected to see someone even threaten Gretzky's records because of the era Gretzky played. That Ovechkin has done this and come as close as he's come, even before breaking the record, was always an indication that there would be a debate whether he's the greatest goal scorer of all time, regardless, because of the era in which he played, the defenses he faced, the goalies he faced. Like, it's a tougher climb for Ovi now than it ever was for Gretzky in the 1980s. And that's not to belittle Gretzky's record. No one else did what he did. But for a goal scorer to do what Ovi has done since he came into the league is unprecedented. And in my estimation, more impressive than what Gretzky did, whether he
Agreed.
breaks the record or not.
Yeah.
The legacy part of this is interesting, though, because one of the things that has come up a lot about Ovi in my conversations with people kind of like casually in National Hockey League fandom is where does he rank? Like, it is clear that Sidney Crosby is considered on the Mount Rushmore for the NHL. Like, he is a complete player. He's a winner. He's a champion. He's seen as a total package player in a way that Ovechkin isn't. But Ovechkin's going to own one of the greatest records in sports history, and he has led his team to a championship, and he has been one of the shining megastars of this sport now for 20 years. And I do wonder, in the legacy era that will follow his breaking of the record and follow his NHL career being over, where will Ovechkin be in that ranking? Is he top 25? Is he top 15? Do we see him as a one-trick pony like a Mike Gardner or something like that? Or do we see him as more of a complete player? I am fascinated to see how history will view this accomplishment and then the player who accomplished it.
We typically put complete players in the Mount Rushmore or in the top five, right? But because Alex Ovechkin has this record, I put him in the top 10 at minimum.
Wow. Okay.
I think that this record is significant enough. If you're the highest goal scorer in NHL history, period, and you beat the greatest player of all time to do it, to me, that alone is enough to put you at the very least in the top 10 greatest hockey players in NHL history.
My feel
I think so.
my feeling on it is tainted because I respect. I mean, I'm thinking about defensemen. I'm thinking about centers. Those are different
Sure.
positions with different responsibilities than what Ovechkin was asked to do. I think of players like Connor McDavid, who to me do things that I never thought I would ever see a hockey player do. And I wonder where their legacy will end up being. And I think about Mario and Gretzky and Orr and Lidstrom and Bork and all these players that came before him. And I think about the accomplishments of players when there were only 6 teams. And how do I factor that into what is clearly my generational bias in favoring Ovechkin in the goal scoring record chase, where I think this era is much tougher than when you only had to beat out 5 teams to win a cup.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest struggle I have with Ovi and his place in history is, even if I make the argument that there are 10 players better than him, the entire basis of the sport is goals. And if you do the thing in the sport that is the most important thing better than anyone else has ever done it, then you probably should be one of the top 10 players of all time, shouldn't you?
Absolutely. And scoring a goal in the National Hockey League is one of the toughest things to do in sports.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So he did it better than anybody that has ever lived. To me, that carries immense weight.
More to the point, I mean, there's probably a lot of young viewers watching this who don't know about where hockey was in 2005. It's a very dark time. It was a canceled season. It was the sport at the ebb of its popularity because of the style of hockey that was being played. The trap years and everything like that. There's 3 reasons why the NHL became what it is today, as far as the success goes. One is the revitalization of huge important franchises, Chicago, Boston, Pittsburgh. Like these are teams that got good at the right time to pick the league up when it needed it. The second thing is the outdoor games. Don't sleep on how big the Winter Classic was, man. And that's also a Sidney Crosby joint. And the third thing, and maybe this should be the first thing, is the Crosby versus Ovechkin rivalry. Like having that rivalry as the sun around which everything else rotated. And it felt that way. I mean, they used to put those games on Super Bowl Sunday, dude. Like that's how big that rivalry was. Just revitalized this league at a time when it needed something like that. And I give full credit to Crosby for being who he is. But if it's not having, like you said, the rivalry and the other side of the coin that was Ovechkin, the golden boy from Canada versus the rock star from Russia, we don't get that revitalization of the NHL.